So let me introduce myself. I'm Charlie Levin. I live in Tewksbury, New Jersey, not far from Denville. Um, and I was asked to talk on this subject because I'd given a talk on AI back in October in Chester.
Want to listen, John?
Somebody say something? Okay. So uh, we're here to discuss AI tonight, and I want to make it interactive. In a minute, I'm going to ask you a few questions that will be helpful to me. And if you are comfortable sharing video, please do, because I may ask you to raise your hand at some point. Although there is a function here where you can somewhere in the bottom where you can raise the hand virtually, but I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so how do I know anything about this subject? Let me just put it to you this way. It's changing so fast that I know a little more than you do. I will put it that way, because every day something new happens with it, and it's a game changer in a big way. And I'm going to demonstrate some of that to you tonight. And as I was talking to Karen in the beginning, there are uses for it that are every day, like writing emails, writing thank you notes. And there are business uses, Kristen, that might be helpful to you. It's incredibly good at generating legal documents and business plans and business letters, um, which we'll talk about a little bit too. And so how do I know a little bit more about AI? Well, I'm a techie kind of guy. I owned in 1995, I had sold another business just as the internet was peeking its head over the horizon. And I went to a conference in Boston where somebody explained what you could do. And I was so struck. I thought it was so enabling. I started a web development business when the internet was brand new. And we grew a very good business, did a lot of e-commerce applications, jewelry, miracle body jeans that make you look 10 pounds lighter in 10 seconds. We did work for the UN. We did one of the neatest applications was we worked for the American Refugee Committee. And before the internet and social media came along, we developed a way to keep their volunteers safe who were being kidnapped and killed by using letting them know where the dangers were. So it was pretty cool. So I'm an early adopter of technology. And last year, when ChatGPT came along, I wanted to figure out what it was and how I could use it. And I found both personal and business applications that were really usable and helpful. So let me ask you to feel free to, we're a small enough group, you can unmute all the time unless you have a dog barking in the background or something. But if it's quiet, unmute. And I'm going to share my screen, and I'd like to ask you a few questions. And I'm a big believer in delivering.
Hold on, let me make sure I can get this back on.
Yep. Okay. Delivering what people are looking for. So if you can tell me, okay, what do you want to learn tonight? What would make this a productive session for you? And just feel free to speak up because there's not that many of us. Anybody? Something you want to learn tonight?
I think it would be useful to learn how to use ChatGPT to overcome like writer's block.
Oh, good one. Since I'm a writer, I totally relate to that.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like creative writing, but sometimes you have to write things for work or my husband just told me that he found it useful in writing performance appraisals for employees
Right.
because that's always a huge task.
Yeah. And it's kind of in a way like when spreadsheets were invented, people were like, what do we do with this? And it's a blank slate, but once you sort of understand what it can do, you think of more ways to use it. Anybody else?
This is Gail. I know nothing about ChatGPT. Zero.
Good. You're perfect for this because this is an introduction. So good. What have you heard, Gail?
What have I heard? Not much other than AI will potentially change the job market quite a bit. More interested in, I would say, how can it help the human body and repairing, um, with amputees and I don't know, body parts and 3D printing. I'm basically curious, but again, not curious enough to research it on my own. I'm not, I don't like using technology to replace the human mind.
Well, it's not a replacement, but it's an enabler. We'll talk more about that in a minute too. Anybody else?
Yes,
Dale?
my name is Dale, a retired nurse. Um, and how can I use it in my everyday life? Like I'm planning a trip and I typed in Chat GPT, where are good places to go in Nevada? So what can an ordinary person like myself use it for?
Great. Good. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Karen. I occasionally have to write short articles for a Square Dance publication, and I have to write flyers to advertise our lessons and things like that. And I was thinking that maybe it would help with that.
Absolutely. So we'll try and hit on all of those tonight, and I'll come back at the end and we'll check in to see if we covered it. And you've actually given me a couple of good examples because what I plan to do is show you some examples, and then we'll do a few of these together. So all right. So here's the presentation tonight. And I call it emails to epics because you can do small things and huge things with it. And this goes to the question about whether it's going to replace the human mind. It's not. I love this quote from Steve Jobs where he compares the PC when it came out to being the bicycle of the mind. And the idea is that we pedal a bicycle. The bicycle doesn't replace us, but it makes us go faster. And in a way, AI is the same kind of thing, although it might really be the bicycle of the motorcycle of the mind, because it can really help you go faster. And I'll show you some examples of this. So you can all see my screen. It says examples. Everybody see the screen? I'm sharing it. I want to make sure if at some point I'm saying something and it looks like I'm referring to something you can't see, let me know. Oh, I wanted to just point out something else. You may not know it already, but how many of you well, I can't see you, so I can't tell, but you could put the hand up. But how many of you use Gmail? Yeah, right. Or Outlook. Well, AI is already baked into it. So, like when you're typing along and it says, it suggests the next words that you should to complete your sentence. That's being driven by AI now. Not only does it know in general what people will say next, but it is beginning to learn what you personally will say next and repeat it. That's AI working behind the scenes. And when I called up this Word document, I intentionally left this over here, but this is a plugin that I use for writing. It's fantastic. It exceeds anything else I've used that will critique um, all these different things in writing and suggest changes. And it's running on AI. So I've got it plugged in here now. There, I'm going to let it disappear because we don't need it right now, and I don't have anything long in here to do it. But it'll underline and show you overused words, suggest ways to reword what you've written. It'll beat you over the head for using too many adverbs. I mean, it does amazing stuff, and it's already there. AI is rapidly going to appear in Gmail, Google Docs, Word, where you will be able, like, if you use do you use a Chrome browser? I do. They just there's a tab where you can enable AI in your browser, so you can say when you're in the posting on Facebook or writing an email, you can say help me write it, and it'll ask you questions and you can write it. All right, but for the sake of it tonight, I'm going to go to ChatGPT because it's so powerful, and this was what started all of this craziness off about a year ago, because AI had been in the heads of computer scientists and not in the hands of the people yet. And all of a sudden, this broke out on the scene. And it continues to get more and more powerful. So if you haven't used it, you can use it for free if you go to chat.openai.com and register. Create a username and log in, and you can use it for free. I pay $20 a month for the new features and for getting it a little faster, but you don't have to do that. And it's quite simple, and you would just start with your query down here as to what you wanted to ask it. So I'll give you a few cool examples, and then we can try out some of the stuff you asked about. So here's a simple example. I had given a talk to a group of authors. As I said, I'm an author. I'll show you what I wrote later, but and again, it was like a Friday. I'm tired, but I know I really should write them a thank you note because they sent me like a gift card for a restaurant to thank me. So in ChatGPT, I typed in, help me with a thank you note. I gave a talk to a group of authors on book marketing. In appreciation, they sent me a $100 restaurant gift certificate. How would you word a thank you? Simple as that, right? And here's what it came back with. Dear, name the group. I wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude for the generous gift you sent my way. I was truly touched by your thoughtful gesture, and I cannot thank you enough. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to your group of talented authors about book marketing. I was inspired by your passion and enthusiasm for your craft, and I hope that my presentation was able to provide you with some valuable insights. Your kind words and the gift certificate to the name of the restaurant have truly made my day. I am looking forward to enjoying a delicious meal there soon, and I will be sure to think of you all while I'm there. Once again, thank you for your generosity and for the opportunity to speak to your group. I hope to cross paths with you all again in the future. Pretty darn good, isn't it? And it knocked that out in about 15 seconds. Now, I might have had to spend 20 minutes to half an hour to write as good a note as that. There's a new feature. This was done in the old one where you can now create an image to go with your thank you note, but I'll show you that a little later. Right at the point that I did this, which was early on, you couldn't do that, but now you can. I'll show you more about that in a second. We can take this a little further. Now I'm an author and a publisher. I have a publishing company. We publish books. We published 40 books last year in 6 countries. As a librarian, Heather, you might appreciate that. Hopefully you have a few of them in your library. But one of the people that works with us had written a book about writing thank you notes. So we just talked about thank you notes. And I, just as for fun, I asked ChatGPT this question. I said, I want to write a book about handwriting thank you notes. Tell me what are the different kinds and occasions when handwriting a thank you note is appropriate and give me examples of each. And it did. And it talks about weddings and receiving wedding gifts, and it gives me language, job interview. Somebody was talking about that before. After the interview, thank you note. After a rejection response, business thank you notes, client gifts, colleague support, personal thank you notes, birthdays. And then I asked it, and this is an important thing, when you use ChatGPT, you don't only have to ask one question, you can refine and dig deeper. So I said, can you make the examples more personal? Okay. And then it says, certainly. Here are some personalized examples for each kind of thank you note. And it does all the wedding ones and all the other ones, and with specific phrasing. That's kind of amazing, right? So after I did this and started to get the hang of it, I thought, okay, I'm a writer. I have an active blog. And I'll show you a little blog that a story I created using ChatGPT. So this is my author website is charleslevin.com. And here's my query. And now we're taking it a little further. The more specific you can be, the better the result. So my query here was, I'd like to write a fictional short story about a clinical trial for an experimental Alzheimer's drug, written in the form of a participant consent form, but it should be a sarcastic parody exaggerating what will be required of the drug trial participant, including lumbar punctures, overnight stays, possible side effects, screening visits, treatment period, blood test, follow-up period, etc. Right? So here's how it responded. Now, I asked, telling it the tone and being sarcastic is part of what trains it to do exactly what you want to do. So I said, so it responded, dear potential clinical trial participants, Thank you for your interest in participating in our exciting, groundbreaking clinical trial for an experimental Alzheimer's drug. We are confident that this new drug will be a cure for Alzheimer's, and we're eager for you to be part of this journey with us. Here are the requirements, right? But then it gets sarcastic, and it says, lumbar punctures. Participants will be required to undergo daily lumbar punctures for the duration of the study. This will involve having a needle inserted to your spine, in your spine. Fun. And it goes on. I won't read the whole thing, but it really nails it. But then I went further because you can iterate to get it better. So I said, add to the story satiric statements about safety, tolerability, pharmacokinetics, and pharmacodynamics of this fictitious drug. And I gave it a name called MK007. Talk more about side effects. Okay. So here's its response. A few more important things to consider before joining our clinical trial. The safety of MK007 has yet to be determined. In fact, it's possible that taking this drug will lead to a sudden urge to stand on your head and recite nursery rhymes. But hey, what's a little headstand when it comes to the pursuit of a cure? So you get the idea, and I won't read the whole thing here. But this is word for word what it came up with in response, and I thought it was pretty remarkable. And this was early. This image was generated by AI as well. So a couple more examples. Let's go back. I mentioned, I think, Karen, you were asking, how could I use it? You know, I'm retired, whatever. Here's my party invitation day. It's a Friday night again. It's late. I know I got to get this invitation out. Hi, DJ. DJ was at my party.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
And this is all I told it, and it went nuts. I said, I'd like to create a fun and funny invitation to a party we are having on August 27th at my house, 3 o'clock. And I gave the details, and there'd be food, barbecue, live music, volleyball, swimming, and surprises. And everybody's invited. So it made up this whole royal theme, and it said, dear esteemed guest, hear ye, Sir Charles and Lady Amy Levin, and our address, request your noble presence at a grand affair full of mirth, merriment, and mouth-watering delicacies. And it goes on. And it even has a joke at the end. So it says, hear our trumpets declare from towers, fun is coming, yours in jest and jollity. And P.S., leave your dragons at home. We've had complaints from the neighbors. So really fun, right? So they couldn't create images yet, but now they can. And it likes you to talk to it in a human way, not like Google. So I said, I'm glad I said, this is great. And I asked it more. And I said, I'd like you to compose a reminder. Well, it got smarter, and it now included emojis next to the date and time of the reminder. And it continued the royal themes about mirth and merriment and the parking and all the icons. It just did all this. So polish your shields, fluff up your feather hats, and prepare to indulge in an evening that will be the talk of the kingdom, or at least the neighborhood. And then after the party, we actually had a couple of opera singers at our party because I'm on an opera board. So I followed up to people who had heard the opera singers to promote an opera event that was coming up later, and it wrote a whole thing about the opera event. So part of my goal tonight with people who haven't seen this before, be exposed to it before, is kind of to open up your minds to what is possible and encourage you to just play with it and check it out, try some things, and you'll see what happens.
The first thing that comes to my mind is, as part of our Square Dance bi-weekly invitations, putting part of the invitation in a short poem, because there are other clubs that do fancy things like that. And, I just wonder if the people that do their notices are a little bit more computer literate than our clubs is.
Well, nobody knew that this was created by ChatGPT unless I told them. They thought that I had spent hours on it. And one of my friends who's in technology said to his wife, he must have a lot of time on his hands. But speaking of poems, DJ replied to my invitation with a poem, and I didn't know it, but he used Bard, which is like ChatGPT, to create the poem in response with a royal theme. Right, DJ?
Right. I so enjoyed reading it, and I couldn't believe how inspirational it was to respond to your invitation.
So both of us had used it, neither knowing that we had done the same. I wouldn't say cheated. We found an easy way to do it even better than we probably would have. So it goes back to that bicycle of the mind comment. It just helps you do it. So as a writer, and somebody mentioned this about when Heather, you talked about writer's block, right? So I found some good use. DJ and I are both authors. DJ's written like 10 books. I've written 6. And I found that it's very good at brainstorming, and it's also very good at coming up with titles. So what I did here is I said, please give me 10 SEO, if you don't know that, search engine friendly titles for the following story. And then I put the whole story in. This is just the story, which is about 1,000-word story. And in 20 seconds, it came up with The Last Classic Candy Store, The Conundrum of Friendship, A Tale of Two Unlikely Friends, Abe's Corner Store, The Battle Against Change. And there was something in here that appealed to me. And based on the suggestion, I took some of it and used it, and it turned into The Last Candy Store in East Apple, was the name of the story, which is also on my blog. Another way to use it, one of you had mentioned about health issues. Well, about 6 months ago, I had what's known as frozen shoulder, where my shoulder really hurt and it was kind of locked in position. So I said, I asked ChatGPT, give me 5 exercises for frozen shoulder. And using a specific number is good. Tell them how much you want. And it gave me 5 good stretching exercises. 2 or 3 of them, my physical therapist have already given me. And then it says, remember to start slowly and gently and stop if you feel any pain. And it's also important to consult with your doctor. So using ChatGPT as a little virtual therapist is another possibility. Now in business, because I think it was Wendy who was in a new business. This is a business letter query that I wrote. So I said, write in a letter to a new client telling them you have, and I misspelled it, but it didn't matter. You have attached an agreement letter he needs to sign and that you look forward to getting started. The project is to help publish and market his book called The Pyramid Puzzle. Another important part is the tone. The tone should be both business-like, but also friendly and exciting. All right. So it says, all right, fill in all the blank. blanks, and it gives me a very nice business-like letter, but it also says we are thrilled to have the opportunity to work with you. And don't hesitate to reach out, and thank you for choosing our company, and blah, blah, blah. And I felt it was a little long, so I said, condense this letter by 30%. It's a little too wordy. And so it took that letter and it shortened it. So it was the iteration that helped. We'll come back to a couple more examples in a minute. But if I go back to our slides, here's the, in creating these, and I've given you a few examples. These are the things to think about that will help get an effective response by ChatGPT. What makes it effective? And that thing that I type in is called a prompt. And it's all about the prompt. And that's become such an important thing that there is now a job out there. Yes, some people may lose jobs because of AI, but there's a lot of new jobs. And now there's a profession called prompt engineering. And prompt engineers are making up to $300,000 a year because they're really good at writing prompts for business. So what makes an effective prompt? Oh, get back here. Tell ChatGPT what you want. What do I want you to write or do? All right, that's simple. Tell it the tone. This applies to Bard and the other AI's Copilot. They all do basically the same thing and ride on the same principle. The tone, I want it serious, I want it friendly, I want it funny, sarcastic, personal. And if you have content that you want it to analyze, you can create it or paste it in and tell it how big a response do you want? I want 10 titles for my book. I want 5 exercises for my shoulder. I'd like 1,000 words on this subject. And then refine and iterate. If you don't get exactly what you want, say, great, you're almost there, but I'd like you to be more personal. I'd like you to give me 5 more ideas. This wasn't quite right. So, more examples then. You can even get fancier. You can say, pretend you are a librarian. What would you recommend that I read if I'm interested in World War II historical fiction? And the pretend to be is a fairly powerful thing because it will emulate it. The pretend to be can work another way, which is I fed in a short story. I could say to ChatGPT, take this short story, but rewrite it as if I was Ernest Hemingway or as if I was Stephen King. And it will redo the style of the story using the same kinds of wording and phrasing that those famous authors will use.
It would be funny to do it in the style of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Maybe before we're done, we'll do that because I do want to do some together. Another common one is if something's really complicated, say in plain English, a 5th grader could understand, explain to me what nuclear fusion is. And it will simplify the English so that everyone can understand it. And you can even say to ChatGPT, ask me questions about what it's like to be an author. And the answers might be illuminating to do that. We might test that out in a couple of minutes. Let's see, using those prompts, how that is fashioned in what we're doing. So let me bring it back up here. Um, let's see how this prompt that I'm calling up. I'll bring that back in a minute. This was just, I mentioned that you could create images. I just did this randomly this afternoon just to do it. Write in ChatGPT, as long as it's ChatGPT 4. I said, please create an image of a horse flying to the moon. And boom, it did that. But you can iterate and say, oh, it's very cool. Just give me a version of the horse flying around the globe. It did that. So if you wanted an image to go with your thank you note, you can tell it to do that. You can tell it to change it. I had one in here and I think it disappeared, but let's see if it comes up. All right. Let me go back and I'll find it. By the way, on this left pane, these are all different chat queries that I've made over time. And when I'm talking about images and being more specific, what I was trying to do, we published a book a couple of weeks ago, my little publishing company, and it was by a Pulitzer Prize winner who was the one who exposed the Imelda Marcos corruption and Imelda with the 4,000 pairs of shoes. Here's the book. It's pretty great. But we were looking to see if we could get an image of Imelda from ChatGPT. So I said, generate an image of a young Imelda Marcos. Well, it won't do famous people. It said creating an image of a specific real person, especially public figure like her, is not permitted. Right. However, I can create an image of a woman in a 1960s Filipino fashion style, which may reflect the era in which Imelda was young. Would you like me to create the image? Yes, please. And here's the image. But I was playing around with it. I said, can you make her dress red? So it took this image, it made it red in color, pretty nice. But then I got more specific. I said, please make her nose larger and her cheekbones more well-defined. And it will do that. And it says, here's the updated image. And I could have kept going. I could have changed the dress color. I could have made her 30 pounds heavier, whatever I wanted to do to get the image just the way I wanted. And she looks almost real. It's pretty good.
Charlie, let me ask you a question. When
Sure.
you produce something like this, the image and or the text that you're generating, who owns it? Is it copyrightable, or
No,
do you have to reflect it? This is a subset of Chat GPT.
In fact, nobody owns it, and there's been lawsuits and cases on this recently, and the Copyright Office won't copyright AI images, but nobody owns it. So, like DJ, for you who creates book covers, this is an interesting experiment in book covers. If you tell it exactly what you want her to do.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And we have a cover designer who did this Imelda cover. And the full cover she did is pretty spectacular, but she uses now in Adobe has AI built into all its Photoshop and InDesign products. So she doesn't create an image from scratch, but she'll take a cover like this and say, she started with this image of her, but she could say, oh, put the Filipino flag in the background. and make this font scripty and refine what she started out with, all by just giving text prompts. So it cuts way down on the time required to do that stuff. I'll show you. I'll show you one other step forward with ChatGPT, and then maybe we'll create some stuff ourselves. I'll ask you, I'll type it in, we'll see what we can come up with. But I want to mention this to you because it takes this to another level. You can create your own GPT that remembers your rules and your parameters. So DJ, like, for example, you publish your books on Amazon, right? Yes, I know you
Yes,
do.
I do.
And you write Amazon descriptions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I created my own GPT to write great sales copy for Amazon descriptions. So in here, you can build these and you don't have to be a programmer. It steps you through it. Here's my GPTs. And because we do this a lot in my publishing business, this used to take us 2 hours. Now in 20 minutes or less, we can generate a good description. So I wrote this. I created this Amazon book page description copywriter. And here are the questions. It'll ask whether the book is fiction or nonfiction. So I'm going to use an example from one of my books. I wrote my 6th book is a children's book. DJ writes children's books too. And you'll see how it works. So it wants to know the title, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, what's the genre, and optional, what's the tone. Okay. So I'll just start out simply. I want to write a book description. And then it'll probably ask me questions. Great. To start, could you please tell me if your book is fiction or nonfiction? Okay, it's fiction. Okay, fantastic. Did you specify the genre? This will help me tailor the description more accurately. So it's a children's book about a boy who loves basketball, titled "So You Go in His Basketball." Okay, thanks for sharing that. Okay. Now, I didn't even give it, I was going to give it the description, but it just went to work. Okay. And I programmed it to find similar books the same way. Now, I could say, yeah, here's a synopsis of the book. Please rewrite the description. Write the description. And I have this saved here, so I'm going to just insert this. That's a synopsis of the book. And I misspelled that. And here we go. embark on this heart-pounding adventure with 7-year-old Hugo, a boy with passion for basketball. And it describes what happens in the book, engaging, educational, and exhilarating. It's a celebration of childhood imagination, the bond between father and son, and the joy of basketball. With an authentic kid's voice guiding the adventure, this book is perfect for young readers who love sports, adventure, and exploring new places. Similar reads, and I tell it to do similar reads, and it does that. And then I programmed it to include a call to action, which means buy the book, get the book. In this case, join No Hugo on his thrilling quest to reclaim his basketball. It's a slam dunk for young adventurers and basketball fans alike. Grab your copy today and let the adventure begin. Would you like to add or adjust anything? So pretty cool, right? Okay. So what's AI good for? And I'll give you a short list of things. There's some things it's good for and others it's not. So here's some examples. It's good for emails, resumes, sales copy, which I just showed you, invitations. It's great for how-to. It's so great for how-to. I'll just verbally tell you example. You can upload pictures to ChatGPT. So somebody was having trouble adjusting the bicycle seat on their bicycle. They took a picture of the bicycle with the seat, uploaded it to ChatGPT, and said, how would I adjust the seat on this bicycle? It identified the specific bicycle, where the nut was that had to be turned, and how to do it. So it's pretty good at that. It's amazingly good at writing computer programs. It's changing the world of computer programming. It's really good at that. It can write legal documents. I needed to draft a legal release, and I used to go to Google it and then try and find a form and figure it out. I told ChatGPT exactly what I wanted in the legal document, and it produced one that was really quite good in no time. By the way, ChatGPT took the bar exam and passed. It took the medical exam and finished in the top 10% of all medical students. It's pretty smart. It's exceptionally good at translations. So you can put in something in English and ask it to translate it to Japanese, and it'll do it, or French or Spanish, whatever you like. Google Translate does that quite well too. But where it's not quite as good, well, it's also good on the creative side. So coming up with ideas for a story. This is to your writer's block comment, Heather. If you said, give me an idea for, I want to write anything, and I need some suggestions on how to do it, it'll tell you. And it may not be exactly what you want, but it'll give you an idea. What I've done in my own writing is, like, I wrote that last candy store in East Apple, and I wanted to test the limits of ChatGPT. So I was actually on a flight from San Francisco back to New Jersey. I wrote 1,000 words on the plane, which was about half the story. I fed the half it into ChatGPT and said, tell me what happened, what you suggest would happen next in the story. And it came up with 4 or 5 suggestions. It's kind of a mystery, slightly supernatural story. It came up with good suggestions. Then I thought, okay, I'll test this and say, well, why don't you just finish the story? Write the next 1,000 words. And it wasn't that good at that. It was flat. So the places where it falls down on the creative side is when it comes to nuance and subtext, um, expressing emotion. It's not quite that good. It also has a character limit, so it doesn't really do more than 1,000 to 2,000 words at a time. Although they say it's going to get up to 25,000 words. Um, it doesn't really seem to understand writing a twist in a story. Um, um, and then in daily communications, where it might fall down is giving a sense of authenticity, personality, even when you're writing those emails, although that party invitation had a lot of personality. Sometimes it messes up the facts, but you can ask it to check itself, to check the facts. If you're doing research, you can ask it to double check. So those are some of the things it's good for and not good for. All right. So let's take one of your examples. One of the things you asked about was planning a trip. Who was that was the trip planner question? Can you unmute and tell me? I think it was a trip to Nevada, right? We were going to Nevada.
Sorry. Yes. Yes, Nevada.
Okay. And any details about what you want to do there? So I'm going to say
yes. We're going to fly into Las Vegas, and I want to be able to drive a 2 to 2.5 hour radius around Las Vegas to do hiking, sightseeing. Does that help at all?
Oh yeah. So help me plan a trip to Las Vegas. Let's just say I'm going to rent a car.
Yep.
And and where can I drive within 2 hours to hike? And what else would you like to be able to do?
Seeing the sights.
See sights.
Yeah, if I do a 2.5 hour radius around Las Vegas, what can I see over a week's period?
Okay. Over a 7-day period. What do you like to do, Dale, besides hiking and seeing sights? Is there anything else?
Museums.
Okay, see sights. Let's
I guess entertainment, maybe.
Because the more specific we can be, the better the result. Visit museums. I've been to Las Vegas a few times. The Red Rock Canyon is fantastic nearby. Zion National's within 2 hours. And I love the pinball museum. But okay, let's see what it does. Looks like you're gearing up for an exciting adventure. It's going to plot every day of your 7 days. Visit the Neon Museum is fantastic. I've been there. Really great. Where are we going? Hoover Dam, Mount Charleston. I've been there. Lake Mead. It tells you to carry water, start early, but let's just see what it came up with. So explore Las Vegas. Red Rock Canyon, I mentioned, highly recommend it. Never been to Valley of Fire State Park, known for its red sandstone formations. Hoover Dam, I've been there. It's pretty cool. I've been to Mount Charleston. And they're right about the desert heat. It's like a 50-degree difference when you go up to Mount Charleston. Lake Mead is cool, and day at leisure, numerous casinos, culinary delights. Not bad for a start, right? Dale?
Yep.
And then you can ask it, you can refine it and say, well, it likes feedback, so you can say this is great, but what specific museums can I visit nearby? The Mob Museum is pretty cool. I've been to that. The Neon Museum is unusual. Children's Museum, Artifact Exhibit. And then within a 2-hour drive, there's these other museums. Oh, there's a museum at the Hoover Dam. Auto collections. There's the Pinball Hall of Fame. That's the one I mentioned. So pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
How about hikes? Oh, by the way, you can speak to ChatGPT too. I'm typing and I'm a crappy typer, but I have this plugin where I can dictate. How about hikes that are 2 hours or less nearby? Question mark. Yep, Red Rock Canyon. Yeah, it's mentioning some of the same stuff because I did.
A question. So could I then say, I want to do what specific trails that are easy to moderate, because I am older.
Right.
Could I narrow it down even more like that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I think yeah. Let's do that. Which specific hikes are easy to moderate? I got a word in there I didn't want because I stumbled. And now it's and Dale, now it's getting really specific, right? These are really good answers.
All right.
Because it's giving you the specifics, the length of the trip, the access. So it's that iterating process that will really get you further.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your help in that. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's an eye opener when you see what's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. We had another one on our list.
I just want to say a comment about the utilizing that information that you just queried, because I was at one of the ones and it had Calico Trail, I think 2.2 miles round trip. You should ask the park ranger always to confirm that it truly is what you think it is and what AI is describing. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. And here it even says, always check current conditions, especially during summer months when temperature can be very high, and always carry plenty of water and sun protection. So it's looking out for you too with that. Yeah. So what about Karen? What about your flyers for square dancing? What's that involved in that? You just need to unmute.
Usually you give the date, the time, the location. If most of them have a theme.
Like what?
Well, coming up in May, we have an ice cream sundae theme. That means that at the square dance, most square dances have pretty well stocked refreshment tables, but instead of the usual mishmash, they have ice cream with various toppings. And, the people, I don't personally create the flyers. We have somebody that does that. And I don't know what she does to find her images. You were talking about being able to access images and change images. And I just wonder what she's using now and if this would be easier for her.
Well, let's see if we can't put it together real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to dictate it. I'd like a fun and funny invitation to a square dance that we're having on May 1st at 7 o'clock at the Grange Hall, period. The theme of the night is an ice cream social.
Right.
Period. Let's see what it does. How about that?
That's an awful lot of information. But from that, I could pick and choose, what I wanted and
No, you can just copy it off. Now let's see if it will. If I did this in, oh, I'm still in the copywriter. Let me do this. Yeah, I want to do this. I'm in the wrong place, so I'm going to do this again. I'm still in my little application. Let's do it here. By the way, you can ask it to do things over again too if you don't like what it did. Say, just try again. So it came up with a different scoop up the fun as opposed to what's the scoop.
Yeah.
And now let's say create an image to go with the invitation. See what it does.
What is ChatGPT 4? Is it a different version, or do you have to pay for it?
No, you can access it for free.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it had a problem creating the image. It's working on it again. That's what this little timer thing is. It's working on an image.
Oh, that's cool.
Here's a lively and fun image that captures the spirit of your square dance and ice cream social invitation. It combines the themes of Western attire, dancing, and a delightful array of ice cream, setting the perfect tone for your event. See all the ice creams in the front?
Yes. It's perfect. We don't dress like that, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's fun and funky, right?
It's attention getting. That's what we need.
Yeah, I like it. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And then how do you save these to?
Well, here, like with the image, a way you can save an image anywhere online, pretty much, unless it's protected, is you right click and you save image as, and save it to your computer.
No problem.
And then the text you can just copy,
Yeah.
You can just copy and paste it.
Wow.
I could also say it's a cool image, but our dancers are over 65.
Which they are, pretty much.
Redo it with older dancers.
That's funny.
it's working on it. Oh, I see an admit here. And you back, DJ? We're just creating some
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I'm back. I hit the wrong button and I got thrown into the river.
You're back.
But I'm back. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that.
We just created a party invitation for an ice cream social square dance. And it created this image first. And then I said, it's cool, but our dancers are over 65. Can you redo it? And it did.
I'm coming. I shall.
No, that's a perfect image.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's funny.
If you put your email in the chat, I'll email you the image if you want it.
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah, if you know how to get to the chat, chat it to me and I'll email you the image.
Sorry, Charlie, I'm sorry I missed the first part of your presentation, but I think ChatGPT charges about $20 a month.
No, it's free. It's free unless you want, you can do all of this, what I've been doing for free.
Oh, okay. I thought it was required that you channel.
I'm paying $20 a month to be able to do like that Amazon book description, the personalized GPTs.
Yeah.
It also occasionally on the free one you can't get in because it's too busy. But for $20 a month, I never have a trouble getting in. When they introduce any new features, like what's coming soon is that you can create videos doing what I just did.
Right.
I'll be the first to be able to do that because I'm paying them $20 a month.
Yeah, I know. I've used Bard, which is free, but now it's going to be charged. And Microsoft's version of whatever it's called is still free, but eventually they're all going to start charging, because why do this if they're not going to make any money?
I think they'll always have free versions. They just won't be as sophisticated as the paid versions.
You're probably right.
Yeah. So Karen, you can see what I'm going to save this image so that I can send it to you. So let me figure out where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it, and I have presentations folder, AI. Image. Just name it, save it there. It's over here. I can get to it when I want. Did you send me in the chat?
Yes, I did. If you see it in the chat, you should be able to.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
All right, I'll just copy this, and when we're done, okay. Oh, some nice comments here. Can we get copies of your slides? Okay. I bet good. I'm glad you're recording this, Wendy, so I can get this chat later.
Right. We are recording for at the library.
Okay.
And Wendy also had a question about the ChatGPT. So you would just basically what the website is. So I just Googled ChatGPT and then I saw that it's Chat OpenAI.
Yeah, it's this chat.openai.com. And the first time you go there, it'll just ask you to create a login. It won't charge you anything. You can just log in. And you can do pretty much everything that we did tonight, except the Amazon book description you couldn't do. Because there's actually, I created one for myself, but there's a huge number of public ones. So if I go to this Explore GPTs, and for this, I believe you have to be a subscriber. There's all this stuff. Like I mentioned, thank you notes as an example. And if I search it, there's all of these easy thank you note, essentially like templates that other people have created, and you can just go in and use them. How about for business press releases? Press release wizard. Look at all these press release things that will help with that. And if you go in to use one of them, it's rated. It's like an app within GPTs are like an app that use ChatGPT as the background, and you can start this sort of interactive experience with them. Help me write my press release, and then tell it what you want, and off you go. So, and a lot of this stuff was, I gave this talk in October. The image thing was about to come out. It wasn't out yet. This whole GPTs of now, which there's thousands, all different categories have happened since. It's moving so rapidly. That's why I said in the beginning, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I would just say I'm a little ahead of you. Because it's just, I have a day job. So I'm not studying this all the time, although I read articles on it every day, which keeps me kind of current on what's going on. DJ, I read an article today about a company called Inkit, INKKITT, that will take your book and rewrite it based on all of their A/B testing of what readers want in your genre, and then post it on this website. They raised like $37 million or something for this startup. So there's a whole controversy about AI written novels that are appearing on Amazon, and it's pretty crazy stuff right now. Yeah. So certainly, if you have any other questions.
Do you have to disclose when you've used AI in book writing?
On Amazon, you are supposed to disclose it. I think some people cheat. But it's like, it's interesting because it's just like when ChatGPT came along, the first thing that schools did was ban it, right? Because they didn't want people to cheat using ChatGPT. The enlightened schools now realize what we should be doing is teaching the kids how to use these tools to write better. So they're unbanning it and teaching it, which I think is the enlightened route. Because it's just like we went through this whole thing, when Wang invented the first word processor, as opposed to a typewriter, people thought using a word processor was cheating. You were supposed to use carbon paper. You weren't supposed to be, whiteout was cheating, and word processors changed the whole thing.
Charlie, when handheld calculators came out, the $9.95 one, schools banned them because they never figured anybody would ever know how to add and subtract if all they had were their calculators. But of course now
they all bring them.
Totally changed. Yeah.
They use scientific calculators, or it's on their phone. The calculators built into their phones anyway. So I think you're better at, I'm a technology optimist. I realize there's stuff that's wrong, but this is happening, and and it's exciting, and the possibilities are endless. And look at how much time we could save creating that invitation to the ice cream social, right? Pretty darn amazing, with images and all. So, I mean, if you, I'll answer any questions you have because we have like 10 minutes left, but this is my email address. Well, you can reach me at charleslevin.com. There's a contact there. This is our publishing business. If you ever get the idea to write a novel, is the Munn Avenue Press, munnavenuepress.com. We published all these books. And I write thrillers. These are the first 4 in my thriller series that were Amazon bestsellers. And they're on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and everywhere. Should you enjoy a good thriller, fast-paced thriller, with scary villains and amazing stuff going on. And there's a little technology in there, but it's stuff that's going on now that most people don't even know about. Like a lot of the stuff that I showed you in ChatGPT, most people don't even know about yet, that you can do all this stuff, right? So, yeah, any questions anybody has? Any other questions?
Other than ChatGPT, Charlie, are there any other AI programs that you would recommend? There's DALI, DALI-E, and there's Gemini, and They go on and on and on.
Yeah, you're gonna see them everywhere. A lot of them actually use ChatGPT as their back end. In fact, ChatGPT was developed on something that Google had originally developed. The LLMs, which is the backbone of these things, an LLM stands for a large language model. So, like, where is it drawing all this information from to be able to generate all this stuff? And there's actually like huge computer farms holding for ChatGPT 16 trillion bits of data and information, which it is able to cull and find. So Gemini is Google's version. It's the advanced Bard now. If you go to Google Bard, you can use Bard. DJ, I know you've been using that all along. It does basically the same kinds of stuff. And DALI, ChatGPT owns DALI. OpenAI owns DALI. So that's why within ChatGPT, I'm able to generate both text responses and image responses. There's lots of image generators out there, like Midjourney is one, and there's others. You can do amazing stuff with images. I've taken some of my pictures and I said, take this picture and make it look as though Van Gogh painted it. And it'll take your picture and create this like starry, amazing palette of colors and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazingly cool stuff it can do.
There'll be a lot of graphic artists that will be losing their jobs.
No, I don't think so.
You know?
No, absolutely not. I think the ones that will keep their jobs and excel are the ones that jump aboard this, because there's an art to prompting and getting the images to go just the way you want. So our cover designer now isn't going to be out of a job. I need her to design covers, but she can do it much faster by typing in a prompt versus having to like manipulate the image and stuff. So she can handle more, but there's essentially an infinite need for this stuff. So somebody who can do it faster or maybe cheaper is going to excel if they learn the tools. if they stay in the traditional design mode with Photoshop versus my designer who's using this, so they're spending 2 hours to do what my designer can do in 20 minutes, yeah, they're going to lose their job. So I encourage people to embrace these tools because they're so amazingly useful.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you, Charlie.
Oh, my pleasure.
It was, I, you know, I've thought about it from the point of view of writing and overcoming writer's block, but I loved that you had other ideas for using it, like planning trips or planning a menu for a themed dinner or something. Like you could have a lot of fun with this, and it applies to just your everyday life.
Yeah. So, when you have a task that involves either writing or creating images, a good sort of trigger to have in your head is, gee, I wonder if ChatGPT could do this. And just sit down and do it. Because that's how I did the party invitation thing. It was probably, and the thank you notes. I was tired and I just didn't want to think about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we all are stretched thin, and this makes it. Plus, it's fun just to see what you get.
But I'm surprised at how creative it is. It's not robot-like at all. It's creative, and it spurs you to think about other ways to do it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think it's mind expanding. It's like that bicycle of the mind idea. You can go faster and better and up hills and whatever because which maybe you couldn't have done before. So
Charlie, I want to thank you because I keep going in and out of having service here because I have Verizon. It's terrible here, but I want to thank you for producing the program tonight. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm going to be going in and out probably again. So I just want to say that. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, we're going to be signing off in a minute anyway, I think.
Thank you. Great introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Karen, I will send you that image when we log off here. You'll get an email from Charlie at oneavenuepress.com.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone.
This was fun.
Thank you, Charles. It was excellent. As I said, I'd never dealt with ChatGPT or whatever. Now I'm looking forward to giving it a try on OpenAI.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. Just play with it and you'll be amazed. And then it'll get you thinking, well, maybe I could do this, so yeah.
I just hope, I think with young people, I actually rather see them write lousy and don't become intellectually lazy and using these tools to enhance a skill that they really should be developing. So I have a little bit of concern of saying school age people, before you learn, you should learn something first, then you can use it as a tool.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Gail, because you ever go into a Dunkin' Donuts and the young person behind the register has to make change?
Yeah.
And they hit the wrong key in the register and they don't know what the change of $6.81 is from a $10 bill. They can't figure it out. It's similar with the calculation generation. Being able to do math in your head is like second nature to me. And you're right, they should know they have basic writing skills, but at the same time, at some point, I think they can do even more. And I think what'll happen is when they write essays in high school, it'll be, there's things that can detect now whether you're using AI or not. They were a little faulty in the beginning, but I think they're getting better. The teachers are going to check it. And they may say, hey, you used it exactly the way it came out, but then there might be other people that took what came out and made it much better. So as an author, I mean, ChatGPT is great for writer's block. It's great for outlines. If you want an outline, it'll do fantastic outline. If you want to brainstorm an idea, like what happens next, it'll give you some ideas, but it's not going to write as well as you can write when it comes to creative writing. For business writing and stuff, I don't, why bother? It's going to do as good a job or better than you're going to do, and it's going to do it much faster. So you don't need subtext and subtlety and nuance in a business letter or general emails. But even the thank you notes were pretty effusive. I mean, they were kind of sweet and nice and specific, which is what makes a good thank you note.
Yes.
I don't know. Who knows where this is going to go?
That's exciting. And
well, now the next thing, which I've been reading a lot about, is AI robots, right? But one of the cool things about this is there's a lot of work being done in AI companions, specifically for older people in nursing homes who are, lonely and they want company. And these AI robots, well, you can have conversations with them, and they'll, from what I've read, there are a lot of people that just love their AI companions. And then there's these online AI sites like character.ai that develops a personality, and there's people that fall in love with their AI companion, and we're getting into the sci-fi world here, but I think there is good in it, in that concept of companionship for people who are lonely and could use it. It's better than nothing. So at any rate, okay,
all right.
I'll go. We're on time. We're finishing on time.
Thank you so much again, Charles.
My pleasure. Nice meeting you all. And
nice meeting
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
So
Thanks for coming out.
All right. Bye-bye now.